Okay, so this video covers the SFA C6 elements of financial statements representation in XBRL. So you remember from a prior video, hopefully you've watched this one, the accounting equation, ultra basic financial statement. It's got one structure, balance sheet, three facts, and you can see, you can wrap your head around all this stuff, and this is what the information looks like. And you can wrap your head around this. It's explained in this little diagram, and then you can see this diagram and see the things that can go wrong. This is the properly functioning system. These are all the things that can go wrong. So it's harder to do that, to see this information with the SFA C6 example, because you have more stuff going on. So here we have, in the SFA C6, you have a balance sheet, a comprehensive income statement, and a statement of changes in equity. These have rules that show the relationship between these, and this has rules that show the relationship between these, and likewise for this roll forward. And these are the terms and the associations and the facts and the structures in this report. Okay, so it's getting more complicated, basically, what I'm showing. And I can't explain all of the things that can go wrong on one slide now, because I have to use one slide just to show, one representation. So this is a properly functioning system. It's consistent, complete, precise. And here are the facts. And here are the structures. And you can see that these are verified to be correct. And here are all the things that can go wrong. I'm going to come back to this one later in this video, but there's lots of things that can go wrong. And I'm not going to cover all of those things, but I'm trying to show you how to both create the report, create the taxonomy, create the instance document that has the facts in it, and then verify that. So I'm going to do that in the next stages of this video. So I'm going to pause this and go into creating the taxonomy. Okay, so here we have a partially completed SFA C6 statement. We have the balance sheet, the changes in equity, okay, but we don't have this comprehensive income. So this is really pretty boring because it's just doing work, but here's basically how it goes. So here you have a concept from the list of elements. You want that on the income statement. Okay, you have another, revenues, expenses, gains, losses, comprehensive income. Okay, now it sees that that concept is in another spot. So we want this to be shown as a negative, and this also. So we're going to change those roles, and there you have the taxonomy. So I already created the calculations, okay, which is the same thing. It's just you take it, you drag it, move it, and we did the same thing for the definition relations, and you just have to know where to put these things. So I'm going to go over that in another video, but you see all it is, it's about dragging and dropping things into a hierarchy. Nothing really particularly technical about that. So that's the creation of the taxonomy. Okay, we created our taxonomy for the SFA C6 example. Now I want to show you how an instance document is created. So we load the taxonomy, and here we have a template for the comprehensive income statement. So you see we have the concepts. So now we put the values. We put the values in. So now, I mean, I'm manually entering these, but they could be just as well imported or whatever. So now I'm just going to key these in, the values. Oops. So I put in the fact for revenues, and immediately this is shown to be incorrect because this is not foot correctly. But I put in the values for the other facts. And now it does foot correctly. But what's interesting, so the math is being checked. So how is that? So here's the rule. We put this in the taxonomy, and it's verifying against the rule. So here you have the rendering tied to the model structure, which is tied to the fact table. See, the fact table's been updated, which is tied to the business rule structure, which is tied to the validation of the facts per the business rules. All this is tied together in the software, so you have the income statement. So I'm going to now take this, put it in viewer mode, and you can get to the concepts. There's the documentation, the references. It's pretty slick. Okay, so we created the SFA C6 taxonomy with one tool, the UB Matrix Taxonomy Designer. We created the instance document using Tesseract. We filled in the numbers, and now we're going to validate this using XBRL Cloud. So I'm just going to grab the file. This is a web service you can subscribe to. You grab zip file that has all the instance and taxonomy files in it. You upload it. You select the instance document. You press this button to generate this fancy review tool. You go to the review tool. You see here that everything checks out. Here's the business rules summary. You can see that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 business rules are all satisfied. You can review information about the facts or the report elements. There's the documentation, the references. It takes you to the document. Pretty slick. And you have that for the balance sheet, comprehensive income, and changes in equity. If I was to change any number, because these are tied together, it would show an error. In fact, I'm going to do that. So I'm going to pause. Okay, I'm back. So what I did is, so in the, I showed this scenario for the SFA C6, and here what I'm pointing out is that this value 8500 was put into the instance document, and that is incorrect. So the system has to be able to detect this. So if there's a rule, here there is no rule, it's not going to detect it. But if there is a rule, it will find the mistake. So now I'm going to show you this. This seems trivial, but it's actually not trivial at all. I created an instance document that has that error. So I'm going to go and review that, do the same thing we did before, and this looks the same. But if you go to the review area, you see that there's an error. And the business rule summary, it tells you that assets does not equal liabilities and equity. So maybe it's clear here, but if you were Microsoft and you have 2,325 facts, and you have, thousands of these, not thousands, many rules, you have to be able to find all of these errors in the report. So to do that, you have to have the rules specified correctly. So anyway, I'm going to stop there. So we created the taxonomy, we created the instance document, we verified that it's correct. I showed you one case of where something went wrong and how the software detects it. Okay, so here I'm back to this is the properly functioning simple logical system. And here is here are examples of errors that can occur. If you have missing rules, you're not going to be able to find errors. If you put the wrong value in and you have a missing rule, you're not going to find that you have an error. If you leave out a fact, and you have the rules, then the software will find out that this is incomplete. Not saying that you can't leave a fact out. It depends on what the rules are for the system. If you add a rule that says if you don't have assets, then use this equation to calculate assets and then put it into the report, this is a complete system because that's missing, but you have this rule, so everything works fine. And I can go through every one of these things and explain why it's complete or why it's incomplete. And that's what the point of the document is. You can go and do that. And I have an example of everything that can go wrong in the SFA C6 example. And what's interesting is that these are exactly the same things that can go wrong in the accounting equation example, and they're also exactly the same things that can go wrong in the common elements of a financial statement or the proof example or the mini financial reporting scheme or in US GAAP or IFRS real financial statements, and that's what I'm going to show in the rest of this video. So I'm going to stop there for now for SFA C6.